Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How are we feeling today? Good? We're excited? Excellent. I'm excited too. My name is Mallory Ahrens. I'm the Associate Director of Programs and Services here at Darien Library, and it's my great honor to welcome you to our community room this afternoon. Thank you for spending some time with us. I'd like to begin by thanking a couple people, the first of whom is our friends at Barrett Bookstore, who are right outside the community room. If you haven't already bought a book, support your local independent bookstore. I have a feeling we're going to be doing some book signings later today, so if you wanted something signed, please support Barrett Bookstore. Secondly, I wanted to thank the Friends of Darien Library. Everything we do in this room, every program, every book that's on a shelf is because of private donations. Thank you to the Friends of Darien Library for making all of this and so much more possible. All right. Is anyone familiar with today's authors? Have you heard of them? A couple people. Great. Thank you. So you may have heard of today's guests. James Patterson holds the Guinness World Record for the most #1 New York Times bestsellers, and his books have sold more than 375 million copies worldwide. No big deal, right? In 2015, Patterson created a new children's book imprint, Jimmy Patterson, whose mission is simple. We want every kid who finishes a Jimmy book to say, "Please give me another book." He is joined by Susan Soleil Patterson, who has dreamed of writing and art directing a children's book since she received her Master of Fine Arts degree at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The best-selling Big Words for Little Geniuses was her first book with her husband, James Patterson. Please join me in welcoming to the library, James Patterson.
Hi, I'm Stephen King. That's Tabitha over there. So anyway, for the adults, one fun thing, I don't know if you're aware, but I did a novel with President Clinton. That was my last collaboration. And there's some similarities between working with the president and working with Sue in that they both like to boss me around. So that's been kind of fun. One quick kind of book story, and then we'll talk about the kids' books. I was on this show, Castle, TV show, a couple times, and about a month or so ago, I was on an airplane, and I'm walking down the aisle, and this woman's pointing, and she says, I know you. So I stop, hi, how are you? And she said, you played Patterson on Castle. So I'm going to play Patterson today. And Sue's going to play Patterson too. The kid book thing is really important to us in a lot of ways. We do a lot, insofar as two people can, in terms of trying to get kids reading, because it's so important. One of the I think the coolest things that we're doing right now is we're in Florida most of the year, and the percentage of kids reading at grade level in Florida is 43%. Which is not great. But really, no states do very well. The best in the country is Massachusetts, and that's at 62%, which is, so Connecticut's not as good as that. But we have a relationship with the University of Florida, a very good school, a very good state school. And they've been working on a program for 5 years up in the Gainesville area, and they have it up in the mid-80s. Over 80%. And it primarily has to do with helping teachers to be even better teachers, because from preschool up through fourth grade or so, kind of everybody teaches reading, but they haven't all been taught the best ways to teach reading. So this is to help the teachers, not in a pressure way, but in this isn't gotcha, this is help you. And it really does help them. And I went to a session, Sue and I went to a session about a month ago down there. There's about 800 teachers, and they were all a little skeptical when they started, but within 2 days they were going, this is great. We really are learning some tricks here that are really going to be helpful. And so we're really hopeful. We went to the state legislature in May or April, and they gave us 2 counties based on the statistics that we had. And so we're going to be testing in the 2 counties. And they said, you don't have to get in the 80s, but if there's a good improvement, you get up into the 60s, we'll take it across the state. And that's just spectacular because it's a win-win-win-win-win. It's a win for the kids, obviously, because if we get 60, 70, 80% of kids who are reading at grade level, we're going to save lives. I mean, literally, kids will stay in school because they can read. If they can't read, I mean, how are you going to get through high school if you can't read at least competently? It's a win for the teachers because they're going to be even better at what they do. It's a win for the state because it's good because a lot of people go, oh, Florida. You know, Florida's actually pretty cool, pretty hot. So it is a little warm here. So that's a terrific thing, and it's a win for the legislators. And I said, look, this isn't about me. I'm here. I don't need the publicity. This is about you guys. The only good thing about me going into the state legislators is I'm not political. So it was like, you know, he's not here to fight anybody. So they were cool about listening to this thing, and when they listened, they were very responsive. Which reminds me of this notion of co-writing, like when I was with President Clinton, and I've obviously done a lot of co-writing, and now with Sue a couple of books. And he asked, well, what's the key to co-writing? I said, it's a little like marriage to me, and always. One is, the first thing to me is there has to be mutual respect. And mutual respect just makes a lot of stuff work. And the second piece is you have to listen. You actually have to listen. You just can't come in, I have the answer. So, you know, with Sue, and we both were pretty good listeners, mostly, right? Yeah. No, we are. In terms of kids' books, picture books in particular, there are a lot of picture books out there that's kind of like, you know, Mommy loves you in the morning, Mommy loves you at lunch, Mommy loves you at dinner time, and the moon's coming through the window. And that's good because it's really important that kids know that they're loved. And a lot of kids don't know that. A lot of kids, because the parents aren't around, or a lot of reasons. The parents are not getting along as well as they hoped that they would. So that's really, really important, that kids. I used to have a house on the ocean, and we'd have families in there pretty much every week. And I watched maybe 14 or 15 families over the course of about 10 years. And what I learned from watching the families was, in my opinion, was, one, you can't give the kids too much love. But secondly, that the culture inside the house had to actually prepare them for the world. So if the kid's being a jerk, you can't just go like, oh, that's okay. No, it isn't. You can't be a jerk because that's not going to work out in the world. You can't be a crazy person because that's not going to work. You can't be a Jewish princess because, unless you find a prince, it's probably not going to work out in the world. So, but those two things of you can't give them too much love, and then it's got to be kind of practical about the way the world works. At any rate, so we have this one kind of book, which is the love books, and that's a good thing. And then we have the kind of joke books, the day the crayons painted the White House rainbow colored. Copyright James Patterson. Because once I thought of that, I went, you know what, that's kind of cool. The Rainbow White House, I like it. I see a book there. I see, we might do and those kinds of books are cool too. Mainly the parents, I think, appreciate them sometimes more than the kids do. Although we love to watch kids laugh. We love that. Will you laugh for me? Look at that little laugh. That's excellent. I love that. I like that. Little joke. But this book, Big Words for Little Geniuses, the Little Genius books, and then Cuddly Critters. That's a little different, and there aren't as many books like that. And these are books that are stimulating the kids to think more, to get more involved, to open up their imaginations, to make them curious, because that's how people begin to love learning. That's how people who wind up loving school it's because they're curious. And this book, both books actually, Big Words for Little Geniuses is an alphabet book, but it's not C as in for cat, it's for catawampus. They're kind of big words, they're fun words, and it's stimulating to kids, and kids get into it, which is really like tuchus is our T word. I don't know why, kids love the word tuchus. And then Sue will talk a little bit about Cuddly Creatures. Cuddly Critters. Yeah. Come on, darling. We actually, we're 21 years. Actually, we've known each other for, 36 years, which is pretty cool. But we sort of made mistakes for a few years, and then 21 years ago, and then we have a 20-year-old, which is so cool. He went to prep school in Connecticut, actually.
Yeah.
So anyway, tell him about this book.
I'd much rather listen than listen to myself.
I'd much rather listen, too.
So, have you found, young lady in the front row, have you found somebody in there that you like yet? What one do you like? Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to read it? Come up here. You want to come up here? Okay. Well, so basically, he already said everything I could possibly say. This has been so much fun. I feel so lucky that I actually got to do this 2 times.
What kind of critters are in that book?
What kind of critters? Well, there are flyers, swimmers, and crawlers. We divided it into 3 categories. We tried to find, creatures that perhaps you haven't heard of. Some you might have, but they all have a fun fact, or they were, really nicely illustrated. So that's how we sort of weeded out some of the long list of potential characters that we had. One of our favorites is the Blanket Octopus, where the female can grow to be 6 feet long and the male is only 1 inch. Or he wanted me to talk. Oh yes, so she's already found it. There's one in there that's this year's version of the cutest. It's the wombat, and it poops in the shape of cubes. Kids seem to like that. Or the axolotl, who can regenerate its own body parts. The blobfish looks like gobs of blobs when it's pulled up off the bottom of the sea. And my badger is in there. Had to get a badger in there. And so it was really a fun book, and same illustrator as last year as the big words, but we love the sort of Matisse collage that she seems to have beautifully done. Anything else you could think?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, one of the things about it, some people will say, well, what about some of these aren't so cuddly? They kind of are. Some people will say that some of the animals and fish in there aren't cuddly, but if you think about all God's creatures and whatever, and have respect for their place on the earth, which we do. So they're all. We're used to. We love the face of a kitten, and that's nice. But there's some in here maybe we don't. But we're not used to the face, and so that's another little piece of it, to just get comfortable with what's out there in the world. Anybody have questions? We'll fake answers. Yeah.
So I've just finished writing my first novel.
Mm-hmm.
Any advice on how to actually get published?
This woman out here is writing her first novel. Are you finished with it?
I'm finished, yes.
You're finished. Okay. All right. It's been so long. The question is, do I have any idea how to help in terms of getting a novel published? I haven't done that in so long because I don't have that problem. My problem is too many. I don't have, writer's block I don't have. I have writer's diarrhea. So, there are places to look for agents. It's good if somebody can, because the publishers, it's hard for them to, you get this 350-page, and oh my God, why am I supposed to read it? So I look to see if you can get an agent interested. The letter that you write is really important in terms of they'll read the letter and go, this person can't write, or, but no, and also what's the idea? When I say the Rainbow White House, you get it. That's kind of, you get it right away. And, so if I sent that to an agent, they'd say, let us see more. Probably. So, somebody would. Some agent would. Yeah. Why do I want to be a writer? Well, why did I want to be a writer? I didn't. I was always a good student. I wasn't a huge reader. And my family moved to Massachusetts right after high school, and I used to work in a mental hospital. And I would work a lot of late shifts, a lot of 11 to 7, and mostly they were quiet. And I read a lot. I started reading, and then I started scribbling stories. And I loved writing the stories. And somebody said you're lucky if you find something you love to do, and then it's a miracle if somebody will pay you to do it. Well, I had found something I'd like to do. I really like to write stories. And interestingly, when the first book, I found an agent, the interesting thing, the first book, I found an agent, then I had 31 turndowns from publishers. Then it won an Edgar as Best First Mystery, so go figure that one out. When it went to a publisher, they sent it out to a very famous mystery writer, John D. MacDonald. And he said, I was 26 at the time, but he said, I'm quite sure that James Patterson has written 1 million words before he started this novel. So that's a piece of it. You find something you like to do, and then you just keep practicing and practicing and practicing. And unlike, say, when you're going to learn to play the guitar, where it's really painful in the beginning because you really don't know what you're doing, with writing, sometimes it can be a little more rewarding. You can get closer to an actual short story, maybe. Even if it's not quite there, you can get the story right. Yeah.
And what would be your typical day? How many hours do you spend writing?
What would be my typical day? As I said, I love what I do. I love to tell stories, so I do write 7 days a week. I will get up early, read. There's 3 or 4 papers, depending on where we are, Connecticut or Florida, or New York or Florida. And then I start writing right away. I will tragically, frequently with Sue, go out on the golf course for an hour, hour and a half. Any golfers here? Not 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. They're ashamed. Okay. You should be ashamed. And then we'll come back and I'll write some more. And Sue and I, we spend a lot of time together, which is nice. We like each other. It's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So as you take this children's reading program across the country, do you find regional discrepancies in reading?
The question is, as we take this reading, I don't know that we're going to take it across the country, but we're going to do Florida. And then depending, Tennessee has some interest already. Arkansas has some interest. We'll see. The first problem you run into is just not invented here, and then how the legislature's going to feel about it, and whether they're willing to really step up and recommend the program. Do you find discrepancies from state to state? Kind of, but not really. Some of the states that do the best, you wouldn't expect, like on the kids reading at grade level. I think Oklahoma's way up there. And I don't think off the top of your head you go, oh, Oklahoma, they've got a lot of good readers there. But they do relative to a lot of other states. Yes, ma'am. What? Oh, you're just waving? Hi. Oh, you play golf. Oh, okay. Excellent. Is your mom or dad here? Oh, okay. All right. So you just left the golf course and came here. Excellent. All right. Okay. Yeah. Where do I get the ideas, and have I always co-authored? 2-part question, but this have nothing to do with each other. I could write a book about this group. My strength is imagination. I have a lot of ideas. I never stop. Weakness is I am a little lazy about style. Like, I have a colloquial style of writing. It's the way we tell stories. I could tell you a really cool story, and you go, that's a great story. And you go, not that it's a great story, but the story about the castle and the airplane. Nice story, okay? Beginning, middle, and end, a couple of laughs. There's no great sentences in it. Which is, it's a style. It's a way to do it. What was it, part B? Co-writers. Oh, have I always? No, I didn't. I started out without co-writers. And then once again, part of it just had to do with I just had so many stories that I knew I could never get them out. So I did actually a golf novel was the first one, Miracle on the 17th Green, and 2 more. You said that before, right here. Yeah.
Actually, the publisher found the we had a choice of maybe 5, and we narrowed it down to 3 and gave them a test. We had them all do catawampus, and this gal, and they all were great. There were 2 that I say was close to choosing between, and this woman did it 3 different ways. So we kind of liked the energy that we figured she would be a great fit, so, yeah.
I mean, one of the interesting things when we initially looked at her work, she's a really good designer, but as we started working with her, we found that she really had a great sense of humor, which really helped. Very imaginative. One more question. Somebody have a really good one? Everybody keeps their hands up. Okay. Now, we'll do 2 more. The young guy there, and then the old lady in front of him. You. Just kidding. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think he's talking about the little girl.
Mm-hmm. Where did the Women's Murder Club come from? I was actually, we were both in advertising at one point. I've been clean for over 20 years. And one of the things I noticed in business, and I don't know whether it goes through all business, I found women to be much more collaborative, generally speaking. They would go into a room and they would listen to one another and they would be respectful, whereas men would go, I got it, this is the way. I just found that. I don't know if that's true. So the idea of 4 women collaborating, and the one that's a little unbelievable is that they would allow a journalist in there, because that would be tricky, because the journalist would be inclined to sort of break secrecy, But that's where it came from. Now, this young lady here, who I referred to as an old lady, but I was just kidding. It's a very pretty blouse you have there. Is that a strawberry? Okay, all right. My favorite book series? The kid stuff that I do, there's a lot. The middle school was the first one. I really liked the way that's going. iFunny, I like. Jackie Haha, have you read the Jackie Hahas? Jackie Hahas are a lot of fun. How old are you now? 7? Okay, maybe a year or so. Jackie Haha's cool. I have a book, well, it's going to be a series. About a year ago, the Einstein estate, Albert Einstein estate, came to 3 publishers. One of them was my little imprint. And they said, we want kids around the world to be familiar with Albert Einstein and at least a sense of the theories and what they've meant to the modern world, Einstein's theories. And all they gave us was the name Max Einstein. And then we had to, make a presentation. And I came in and I said, well, here's my thought on it. I said, it's not important in some places, but in a lot of places around the world, I want Max to be a girl, 12-year-old girl, because in a lot of places, girls, women are not, it's not seen that they can be scientists or mathematicians, and so I think that's useful. And they like that a lot. And then I sort of told them the beginning of this story about this Max, and they were very smart because they said it has to be entertaining. Otherwise, kids won't read it. So I said the first chapter is this Max, and she's homeless in New York City. Max Einstein, 12-year-old girl, and she lives in this 6-story building with homeless people, and the 2 bottom floors are, they're heated, because they keep horses there to go out into, ride in Central Park and whatever, and the top 4 floors are not heated, and that's where the homeless people are. So she comes to somebody who's, a homeless person, it's sort of a spokesperson, and she says, I want to go to the owner of the building, and I want to ask him, I want all the manure from all the horses, and I'm going to turn it into methane gas, and I'm going to heat the top 4 floors. So there we have some sort of science and a fun way, and I think you read it and you go, that's kind of cool, and I think you read the next chapter. At any rate, thank you, thank you, thank you.